What's going on, faithful? Welcome back to another episode of 9erTalk with Jasper and Jamal. I am one half of the co-host, Jamal here. Got my guy Jasper with me as well. Big week, big dub over the Cowboys. And I don't know about you, Jasper, but I'm real curious about, did Micah Parson and them boys, did they bully the bullies? Because I definitely don't think so. I think the Niners for sure brought the fight to them. We'll get into that. We'll break down the key moments and the key players from this game. We'll also get into the Green Bay Packers game as well as we get into the divisional round, give our thoughts and opinions on that. I'm sure neither one of us will give a final score because we don't like to do that. But we'll give you our thoughts and opinions, and you can come away with that what you will. But as we jump into this, Jasper, 49ers big W. 23-17 over the Cowboys. And in my personal opinion, the game was never even that close, really, until the last stretch. So it was a little scared there at the end, but definitely one of those games where it shouldn't have even been 23-17. There was a potential for us to get even 30, and really, ideally, probably the Cowboys no more than like 13. But we did gift them nice field possession there down the stretch. What were your overall thoughts in this game? How are your nerves? How are you feeling a few days later?
Man, I mean, it was a emotional roller coaster for sure. But they came out with the dub. I mean, I said they would win. I was pretty confident they would go in and win the game. I didn't know how. I didn't know obviously what the outcome would be like, but it played out, very similar to what I thought. They got the run game going immediately, starting on that first drive, and from there they did control a lot of that first half, and then of course Jimmy made it very interesting towards the end, as he's prone to do. But overall, W is all that matters, whether it's pretty or ugly, and they'll take it however they got it, man. And it was my nerves were as they are every game. It was a roller coaster
everywhere.
Yeah, they were everywhere, but it was good to see. You love to see it.
Oh yeah,
just being able to beat the Cowboys, the fact that it was the Cowboys, the fact that it was the playoffs, it doesn't get any better than that for sure. And it's the playoffs, so there's always got to be drama. So especially with this Niners team, and that's what we've seen. We've seen all season with the just them getting in on the last week, and just some of the things that this team is the things that this team has went through and endured all season. I didn't expect it to just be a blowout, and for it to just be, a laugher, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So, but it was dope. It was a great game, incredible ending, and here we are on to Green Bay.
Absolutely, right. And I think I like that you said that at the end, on to Green Bay. Regardless of what happened through that game, we did come out with the dub. And sure, I mean, style points wise, I would have liked this to score 30, whatever, blow them out. That's nice, but found a way to come out with the W. Yes, there were some shaky performances here and there. Some people, but when it really came down to it, we got the dub. And I thought the defense was really outstanding, really throughout the course of the whole day, in keeping that high-flying offense in check really all day. I thought that was really, really impressive in my opinion. One of the first things I want to talk about here, though, I'm sure a lot of people want to talk about this as well, too. Deebo Samuel. I think on the offensive side of the ball, he's got to be, well, one, for us, he is the ultimate weapon. And really, probably, I would say in this game, the difference maker. I think one of the underrated players, also Elijah Mitchell. I think both of those guys were the engine behind the offense on Sunday. But in regards to Deebo Samuel, I mean, 10 carries, 72 yards, that's 7.2 a clip. I'll take that any day. Obviously, we see he gets the touchdown as well, too. Obviously, he did receive the ball a couple times as well, too. So I think it was 13 total touches, 110 total yards. And then I saw on PFF, they kind of marked Deebo Samuel by his alignments, which I thought was really cool. I guess he took 13 snaps from the backfield, 13 snaps from the slot, and 19 snaps out wide, which I thought that was pretty cool, just to show the ultimate versatility that Deebo Samuel has. Obviously, he's had an insane season.
Yeah.
Where really, really happy and blessed to have him on our team. We love to see what he's been doing, and there's been no one who's really stopped him to this point. And I thought it was nice to see that Kyle was really riding him, as well as obviously we know after the K'Wan Williams interception, the Debo, calls his shot, talking about, give me the ball. And then he scores a touchdown rushing to the right side there as well, too. So just good to see the best player on your team, at least you could argue the best player on the team, get the ball and really do his thing. Debo Samuel, just the ultimate weapon.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think he's for this team. I don't know where this team would be without Debo this year. I saw a tweet. I want to say, I think it was Jordan Elliott. He had a tweet earlier I don't know if it was this week or last week. Where he tweeted about pretty much the screen pass that he caught and took basically 80 yards, almost, to the 1 yard line. In Chicago, and that was the turning point. That was the turning point in the season, I think. And I literally, because it was at the time where he caught that pass, the Niners were down at the time.
Yeah.
And late in the second half, and not looking like they had anything going until that play. And I want to say it was like a 3rd and 15, 3rd and forever, whatever it was. And that flip of the field for them to score, go on, win that game, that kind of gave them the boost and the morality to go on and, finish the season really strong. And, I said it earlier in training camp this year that I thought Debo would have, from a fantasy perspective, was going to have a huge year. I called that. I said Debo, because the conversation was Ayuk or Debo.
Right.
And I said, Debo for sure when it comes to fantasy purpose. Ayuk might be the more polished wide receiver one per
sure.
se. Yeah. But when it came to fantasy and the options and all the things you can do with Debo, now I didn't
versatility.
I didn't foresee this type of season that he's having, especially because I didn't see him lining up in the backfield as much as Kyle started to use him in the second half of the season. But
just the usage levels increase.
The usage, exactly. The usage level and just what he brings. We were talking about backstage before we hopped on, is that, that silent leader that Debo has become for this team, because this team doesn't really necessarily have per se a vocal leader. But when it comes to a leader that leads by example, similar to how Frank Gore didn't say a whole lot. But when Frank Gore was during his 49ers tenure, I know a lot of his teammates would say he was for sure one of the leaders of that team, just by example and by the way he went out, performed on and off the field, how he carried himself. And I think Debo's very much in that same mold, where he's not going to say a whole bunch. Even if you watch his mic'd up segment, like he said a lot of just normal things, a lot of rah-rah things, get the guys ready for the game, especially with the position group, with the receivers.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And then just walking around, dapping guys up before the game. That's normal stuff.
Right.
But there isn't a whole lot of rah-rah speech in there in the middle of it. It's more of, hey, this is our time. Let's go put the ball in the box. That's what he said. Let's go put the ball in the box. That's our time. We need to go score. And he was, talking to the defense after that. Hey, finish us. Bring us home. Things like that. Where I just would say Debo's definitely the MVP of this team. If he's not the MVP of the NFL, he's not going to be an MVP candidate. Of course, we know that he's not in that upper echelon of player. In our eyes, he is, but in the outside looking in, he's not. Right now, he's just hot, and he's the hot topic right now. And I think the national media is just catching along what we already know.
Right. He's turning into more of a star. For us, we already knew he was a star.
Correct. Which is wild, because his rookie year was our Super Bowl run and 2019 season. And he was doing a lot of these same things. Kyle's just lining up in the backfield more, but he was still catching a lot of the sweeps, the reverses. He was doing a lot of the gadget type things that a lot of the national media is finally now just picking up on.
Exactly.
But yeah,
you hear all the time in the draft now, right? Let's find the next Debo Samuel. This guy can be Debo Samuel. I think it was in the Bengals game. They're talking about, Jamar Chase. He's doing this. And so, they want to use him like Debo Samuel. Well, one, I think that Debo Samuel is really a one of one. Now, you may be able to use players in a similar role, but I don't know. I think Debo's a little bit different. What do you think? I think his physicality, just his burst, he's already fast, but I think his initial burst that he has too, and then to maintain that top level speed and to get there. I don't know any better way to say it than to get there quicker than most people get there is impressive to me. So to be that, I would say, that wide, that thick, shorter base dude. I think he's like 5'11", 6 foot, but to be that physical, which I also think is a mindset, that quick, and then to have that initial burst as well too. I think that's what makes him the ultimate weapon where you can put him in the backfield, you can put him in the slot, you can put him out wide, and he's just going to make plays. Like we're calling him the wide back now. That's what wide receiver, running back, quarterback, because he just makes plays. The dude is that type of guy, and it's just, I don't know. I think to me that's why I would say he's a 1 of 1. What do you think? 100%. He's just really a 1 of 1.
100%. There's nothing like him. Like my pro comp, physically was definitely Anquan. He's a definitely poor man's Anquan. But looking the way his burst is different, his vision,
that part too
is what separates him, I think, from a lot of guys that can just carry the ball. Even Cordell Patterson to a lesser extent, I don't think he has the same kind of vision or burst that Debo has per se.
Sure.
When he gets the ball in his hands, lines up in the backfield, an I formation, offset back, whatever the case, his vision is just to turn the corner or to cut back like he did this past weekend, to press that whole press, and then cut it back once he sees the defense is overplaying that. So he's definitely 1 of 1. There isn't anything like him. And that's not just Niner fans saying that. That's a lot of people that are saying that in national media. A lot of people are for sure just saying, I've never seen anything like Debo. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. So if you didn't know, this is I believe this is Jordan Elliott right here talking about, oh, no. Jordan Elliott is the one with the this one. This is Jordan Elliott. But this guy right here that said Traylon, this is a receiver coming out of Arkansas, Traylon Burks. He's like 6'3", 220, 225, something like that. He's a guy I've been on this guy, Christian Watson, from North Dakota State. There's a couple of receivers coming out of the draft that I'm pretty high on. And this kid right here, I don't think the people that watch the NFL that don't watch college football, they're not aware of this guy. But I think really soon people are going to be turned on to this guy. He's kind of I would say a Debo Samuel, A.J. Brown type, but he's taller, but he does similar things. He works out of the backfield. I've seen him work he does a lot of his work out of Arkansas, out of the slot as well too. So shout out to this dude for bringing up Traylon. I've been saying the same thing, man. Also, where did Rich's comment? I think he was saying we could call Debo Samuel the unicorn. I mean, I know that gets thrown around a lot. I would definitely agree he is a unicorn because unicorns are 1 of 1. You don't see them often, things like that. I don't know if that name will stick or not, but I totally understand where you're going with it. He also says, I want Watson. Pair him with his old QB, and this team is cooking. I definitely think it would be nice to pair him with Trey Lance. I just think personally, once the Senior Bowl comes around, I think his name is going to start getting picked up, and I think the kid's going to go quicker than the Niners may have a chance to take him. And by that, I mean, I don't think the Niners would pick him up with the 2nd-round pick, because I think we have other pressing needs more sooner than wide receiver. But by the time the Niners would probably consider picking him up, I personally feel he'd probably be gone. He's like a 6'3". I don't know. Do you know who this kid is yet? You're aware. Yeah. So that's kind of my personal opinions on in regard to that. Another thing, just real quick, before we move off of this Debo Samuel, I saw a tweet today that I just wanted to read out loud so that we can understand, because it just says the ridiculousness of what Debo's been doing. So he's got 9 TD runs this year. The average distance of those runs, 16.44 yards. That's insane. Yeah. And then he's been averaging 15.11 yards before a defender makes contact on those runs. That's just, to me, that's just crazy. One, great play call, great play scheming. We all know Kyle's great at that. But I got to give credit to Debo as well too. His vision, like you had mentioned, his vision is insane to cut back on that touchdown run, to see the Cowboys defense over pursuing it a bit, to slow down and turn it back up. And that's what I'm talking about when I say the burst, because he stopped, kind of slowed down, saw the vision, saw the hole, and then sped back up. And then as he was speeding back up, there was two other defenders. I don't remember who they were, but they had no chance to catch him. They were trying, and he was pulling away from him. So for me, I think when I see plays like that, and that's just in real time, it's not sped up or anything like that. In real time, to see that, that's where I say, oh, that's different. That's that one of one type. You don't see that. I don't think you see that kind of movement that often.
And what's
what are your
wild
thoughts
about
on that?
what's wild about that play is so I'm streaming the game. So
yeah,
right before that, there was a DJ. It was in sequence. It was just those three incredible plays in a row. It was DJ Jones big sack, and right after that, it's third down or second down, I think. Second down.
Yeah.
And then Dak throws the pick.
KK.
And then right after that, Debo scores. And so I'm on the phone with my pop. So me and my pop. So like I try not to watch. We try not to watch the game together this season. Just superstitious thing. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna watch it by myself. You watch it by yourself. But usually when big plays happen, we call each other, or just he'll call me sometimes just for schematic breakdowns, or hey, what did you see on that, or something like that. And so we were on the phone because I just called him like, "Yo, the pick, like that was huge. Like we gotta capitalize, blah blah." So he's a little bit ahead. He's like 30 seconds ahead of me. So because he's watching on cable.
Okay, yep.
So we're talking about the pick. I'm like, man, I was like, the shark, man. K1 hunting season. Like we got him. This is where we won. Right? This is perfect. And so I'm on the phone, and he's screaming like, Debo's gone. I'm like, what? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, man, Debo.
30 seconds behind.
I'm like, oh, man, I got to hang up, man. You're way ahead of me, man. Get off the phone, man. So we get off the phone. And I'm like, what is he talking? I'm like, man, my old man lost his marbles. Like, what is he talking about? I'm watching the play. I'm like, no way Debo scores on this. He's out of there. And then he made that cutback. I'm like, oh, he's out of there. So
it's
just crazy when it's the lag. The delay is funny sometimes like that.
Right.
So we're on the phone. He'll just be shouting and shit like things that are happening live, and I haven't even seen it yet.
Right, so, you're like, Dad, chill.
Not all the time. But the raw emotions just took over, and he was just like, "Oh, Debo's gone." It was a funny moment. But yeah, man,
I loved it, man. I was loving it. And Rich here says, "I love the clip of him telling Shanahan, I told you." I did too. Literally right after. And then Kyle says, "Thank you for telling me."
Thank you for telling me. I was like, Kyle, he has to tell you, like.
I loved it. We got Jason up in here. Jason's in the chat. Kick Jordan out. Says we up.
Ponte.
What's up?
Ponte, man. When are you gonna have me on?
I know. We gotta have him on our show too here pretty soon.
Yeah, pull up.
So Terry here with the question real quick before we continue. He says, with us now having a legit 3 wide receiver set, do you think we look for a good kick returner who could also be wide receiver 4? That is a good question. I do have some thoughts and opinions on that, but let me let you go, Jasper. What do you think about that?
I think we covered this like 3 or 4 episodes ago, and my stance is kind of the same on it. Where the NFL has changed so much over the past decade or so, where we're not, in the early 2000s, so to speak, where the kick returner, punt returner was more of a need,
like a specialist,
because especially before they changed the rules as far as the kick return and with the injuries and such, and trying to protect the player safety and things like that, where they moved the kickoff, they moved it up. So most kickoff returns are now down in the end zone. Most of them end up being touchbacks anyway. So the need for a kick returner, a designated kick returner, punt returner, isn't as high in demand as it was, where now it's more of a luxury than a necessity, as it was in the early 2000s, 90s, late 90s, or 80s, whatever the case may be. You don't see your Dante Halls, your Josh Cribbs, your Devin Hester,
Cordell Patterson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You don't even Cordell Patterson, once they change rules, kind of, he'll still do it every now and then, depending on depending on which team he's on, since he's on like a new team every single year. I know. But now teams have figured out how to get him the ball in other ways besides using him just on special teams. So with that said, with the special teams needs that the Niners have shown that they need this year, I do see them going into the offseason looking for somebody, but I don't know if they're going to address it in the draft. It might be via free agency, somebody who's a journeyman, so to speak.
That's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, somebody. It's not going to be. They're not going to invest a lot of capital per se in on that specific need.
Right, because what have they shown us? They've shown us that if they want someone who's going to fit more than just a kick return or punt return specialist.
100%.
They don't look for that. They look for someone who can also provide depth or help in other situations as well too, whether that be a corner, a safety, maybe a wide receiver 4 going into next year. And I agree with you. And that actually, I think that's a good transition into kind of my thoughts on it. I could see them, to agree with you, Taryn, I could see them possibly looking for a wide receiver 4 if he is a speedy guy. You know, that wouldn't shock me. This scenario where they do get a guy who's wide receiver 4 and returning kicks or punts, I could see that. I'm also in agreement with Jasper, and my thoughts are, if the Chiefs do let I think it's Mike Hughes, yeah, if they do let Mike Hughes or someone like that hit free agency and go, I could see Kyle and those guys looking at Mike Hughes as a guy who has returned kicks and punts before, but he also is a cornerback as well who has the versatility to play in the slot or outside. Now, we know Demo is set up for the future to play in the slot. Would they look for Demo to be a kick or punt returner? I don't think so, but I don't know. But we also have an Ambry Thomas on the team as well, too, who has experience with that as well, too. Will he go back there? I'm not here to say yes or no because I don't know what the future holds in regards to that, too.
I don't think so.
But I do think that they want to use – say it again.
We would have saw it by now.
Exactly. So that's the only reason I bring up Mike Hughes. If they bring him in, he's a guy who has the experience to do that. I could see the Niners doing something like that to where – especially if Travis Benjamin doesn't come back as well too, will it be BA full time? Who knows? So if it is or if it isn't, I could see a situation where they bring in a guy based off what we've seen in the history in the past, who is a corner or a wide receiver who has the ability to return kicks or punts as well too. So I won't rule out Ambry as well too, but I will say Kyle doesn't seem to like someone that's just a return specialist, and I don't really blame him at this point in time either. So. That's kind of my thoughts on that.
I think it's just where the game, like I said, it's just where the game has moved.
The game's moved away
from
kicks are getting booted out all the time now. Exactly. It's more of a field position type game rather than losing field. So I'm with you on that for sure. Yeah. Let's see. Let's transition back here to another player. Oh, the one other thing I wanted to say about Deebo Samuel. So they said if Deebo Samuel had Jonathan Taylor's rushing numbers extrapolated over the course of his season.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dude would have had 2,102 rushing yards, 43 TDs, and 111 broken tackles. So obviously, we're not saying that that's what exactly would have happened, but just the sample size that we've seen with Deebo Samuel, putting that over the workload that Jonathan Taylor had to see those kind of numbers, that's insane. I just like these numbers because it shows just how insane Deebo Samuel is, and that's just as a running back. He's also still a really good receiver as well too, which obviously we're seeing now with Raheem Mostert being hurt and how the season has gone through the last half of the season. They are using him more in the backfield. That doesn't mean they don't use him in the slot or out wide as well too, but Kyle's saying, you know what, I just need to get the ball into my best hands players and let him go to work too. So Deebo Samuel's amazing. I'm sure we could sit here and talk about him all day. But I want to switch to another guy as well too. Brandon Ayuk. He's been a source of topic that people have talked about a lot since the game as well too. And I'll pass this off to you, but I wanted to say really quick. So we know he got 5 catches, 66 yards. There were opportunities for an even bigger game than that. That comes back to Jimmy. I do put some of that on Jimmy, missing a couple very easy throws that I would say that were there for him. And I say easy because in the same game that I saw Jimmy Garoppolo hit an 11-yard out to Jawan Jennings to convert a 3rd down, I also saw him miss a blaze out to Brandon Ayuk that he just sailed it. And I've heard there's been a lot of talk, a lot of people saying, oh, he was supposed to post and go upfield to the corner. Yeah. I'm positive that was a blaze out. This is a Kyle Shanahan staple. We've seen Julio Jones do it. You've seen Marquise Goodwin do it. Multiple receivers have done it. And you always flatten it out and turn it upfield. Or turn it towards the sideline rather than upfield. So I want to pass this off to you. What did you see from Brandon Ayuk Sunday, that impressed you?
Just continuing to be who we thought he was going to be. Like he's You know, he's not doing anything that I didn't expect him to do. The play, the third down play where he uses his ridiculous wingspan to stretch and get the first down. He plucks hands. First of all, catching the ball with his hands, which is what I love. I love seeing receivers catch the ball down. I was a hand catcher. I never catch the ball with my body. I've never even I can't even try to catch the ball with my body. So when I see body catch them, I was like, ew. But the fact that
as a receiver,
I was like, ew. But BA like plucking it with his hands, stretching out, doing things that I'm just like, yeah, like he's a dog. That's what he's supposed to do. 100%. That doesn't surprise me. His blaze out route also doesn't surprise me. Like cooked him. Yeah, it's just like, okay, yeah, he's when you draft him at where you drafted him, you expect wide receiver one type behavior. He's doing wide receiver one type behavior. That doesn't impress me. Like I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's what he's supposed to do. Now Diggs is an aggressive corner. He's gonna bite on a double move. That it doesn't surprise me. You know, it's unfortunate that, of course, you know, BA doesn't have, you know, somebody delivering him the ball that can get him to put up some of those numbers that some of the other receivers in his class are seeing on a consistent basis. That's the frustrating part, because I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me to watch, so I know it's frustrating for him to be out there doing it, because he's the one out there that's, you know, putting his body on the line every single, you know, week in and week out, and he's still not seeing the production that I bet he feels like he could put up because of who's throwing him the ball. That's another topic for another day. But what I see specifically from Brandon Ayuk, man, I love the route that Jimmy did hit him on. Underthrew it a little bit. I'm not sure exactly where the ball was supposed to go on that. I mean, either way.
The one where Jimmy extended with his feet a little bit?
Nah, not that one. It was right after the Cowboys. It was the very first play, first down. It was right after the Cowboys scored the touchdown, the coup. He came right out, hit him on that like 36-yard play.
Slot fade there.
Yeah. Another double move where he kind of.
Oh, yeah.
The little over route. Then he kind of went upfield when Diggs. Yeah. So, and Jimmy hit him on that nicely. And you know how he makes play, and then he, you know, run after the catch. You know, he's part of the yak, bro. So you know, he's getting his yak on, and that's what I expect from BA. And you know, he's also, I was very impressed with Kyle. I've been waiting for this wrinkle in the offense, because what I see from the offense, I look at it as everything is, and I saw this today on ESPN. I loved it. I think it was Dan Orlowski. The Niners run a positionless offense. Similar to how the Warriors run positionless basketball, where Draymond could be the 5, or he can also be the point guard. He could also be the 3. Like,
it's a great point. That's a great point.
Kyle is very innovative and interchangeable with the offense, where Juszczyk could be out at receiver, Debo could be in the backfield.
Right.
We've seen Jeff Wilson at tight end coming in motion. Like, everybody is so interchangeable, and I've been wanting to see them run. Have Debo in the backfield, so all the eyes are on Debo, and then bring Ayuk in motion and run the jet sweep. And I've been waiting for that wrinkle. Like, Ayuk can do.
What do teams do?
Right, he scored on one of those his rookie year. Like, bring Ayuk in motion, allow him to get his hands on the ball behind line of scrimmage to see what he can do. So you're not beating up Debo. It's a new wrinkle because everybody's so focused on Debo in the backfield. But when you he also bring Ayuk in, and Ayuk had a nice little jet sweep. I think it was an easy 10 yards, easy first down. So I was very impressed with that from Kyle's side. I wanted to see Kyle mix some of that in, so it's not always Debo running. It's so obvious when Debo's going to run. Start to throw some of these wrinkles in there, like he did 2 weeks ago with the pass, with the wrinkle. You know what I mean? So
100%.
Yeah. So I was really impressed with that. But other than that, the receiver, when it comes to just strictly receiver play, like we're now in the playoffs. So this is now, Brandon. This is year 2. I love what I see out of Ayuk, but I expect it at this point. Same thing.
I think that's a great point.
I expect at this point now. You've shown me you could do it. That's what my coach used to say. When he says, when you show me you can do it, I expect it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I'm disappointed if I don't see it going forward. So with Ayuk and Jennings and all these guys that are coming on, I expect it now, because now I've seen what they can do. They've put it on film. They've done it now at a consistent basis, that I expect it every single week.
I believe that 100%. And I think it's, for you and I think it's really dope that we're seeing this. And I think that not even you and I, but the world, because we're in the playoffs now, they get a chance to see Brandon Ayuk. They get a chance to see Debo Samuel. And I think going into next year, I would say their stardom is going to, grow even bigger to the point of, okay, it's not just a San Francisco thing. These guys have a chance to really become household names. Yes, we talk about the Yak Bros and things like that, but we're in the playoffs now. So it's a bigger game than it is in the regular season. Each play matters a little bit more. So for you and I to have a conversation about Brandon Ayuk just a couple weeks ago, and to see him have a game like this where he's cooking a guy who's considered an all-pro this year,
yeah,
it's vindication. I don't want to say it's vindication, but it's okay. Some of the things that you and I have been talking about and what we wanted to see from him. Okay, we're getting a chance to see those things on film now on a big stage, and it's cool to. I like that. I think it's really cool to see that. One of the other underlying things that I liked about this game and what I saw from Brandon Ayuk was something that I saw from Shanahan too. He was not afraid to throw at Trayvon Diggs. And I didn't think that there was ever a need to be afraid to throw at him. So for me, I loved seeing that. And I think Shanahan very clearly knew that this dude was susceptible to double moves as well, too, because we saw Brandon Ayuk cooking multiple times with that as well, too. So for me,
you don't end up with 11 interceptions on the season with people being afraid to throw at you.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. So, and I'm not even trying to take anything from him because the dude's he's a ball hawk. He can get the ball. He can play the ball well. Sure. But he's also, at this point, he's still a boomer bust player. That doesn't mean he's going to be this guy. That doesn't mean he's going to be worse. That doesn't mean he can't improve next year. Not saying any of that whatsoever. But at this stage in his career, you can see where some of the holes are and you can attack him accordingly. And it was dope to see that happen this week. Also, I think when it comes to Brandon Ayuk, like you had mentioned earlier, he was a first-round pick. These are things you expect to see from your receiver. So, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but when it comes to like man coverage, I think personally Brandon Ayuk is someone that's built to beat man coverage pretty consistently. He might be the best man coverage wide receiver on the team. Would you agree with that, or would you push back on that?
I would push back on it because I think I also look back at a lot of the film in the first 2 or 3 weeks when he was quote unquote in the doghouse, and I was trying to figure out what is going on here. There are some times where he just wasn't winning, like point blank period. Like he just wasn't winning off the line.
I agree.
Yeah, and or not running his routes, strictly maybe how the zone coverage, the zone beaters, how he was supposed to win those zone beaters. But when it comes to strictly man, he wasn't winning sometimes. So I can't sit here and say that he is the best. And there's times where I've seen Debo not winning, man. It's just how it is sometimes.
It happens.
Like it's tough because it also depends on what route you're running. Like it's really, really, really hard to beat man press, like if you're running a slant sometimes. If you you gotta really sell hard outside and get back underneath. That's a really hard, that's not an easy thing to do. So strictly when it comes to man, too small of a sample size because the Niners don't necessarily run a ton of, it's man, I'm going to you right now. Like they don't do that a lot. So it's tough to say, who's the best, who isn't the best. I think it's really just a case by case situation.
I think that's fair. I got no problem with that whatsoever. Let's transition here to Elijah Mitchell. We don't have to stay on him too long, but I did want to mention him because I think, and I had said this last week, and we kind of talked about this a little bit. He's just one of those guys who seems like a savvy vet. I said that last week. I'm probably going to continue to say it. It was one of those games where, especially in the second half, and I know we'll get to this at some point, he got a heavy workload, 27 carries, 96 yards, and a TD. And I wrote that down for my notes. Okay, workload. And I also wrote down Jeff Wilson, Jermichael Hasty. But the fact that these two guys aren't seeing the field and it's a heavy, heavy, heavy dose of Deebo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell, I mean, what that tells me is Kyle Shanahan is very trustworthy of those two guys. And I think he had a specific game plan around those two guys in attacking the Cowboys. Now, will it be that same way going into Green Bay? I don't know. But I know that for a fact it's going to be cold out there. So it's going to be hard. Some players are not going to want to tackle the same way that they tackle inside of a dome. And so I think the physicality, all that stuff's going to be tested. We are a run-first team. We are a team that prides ourselves on our defense. And I've said this for a couple of weeks. We've talked about this being that defense and running, those things travel well in the playoffs. So I know I'm getting a little off topic looking towards the Packers here as well, too. But I did want to say, just in regards to Elijah Mitchell, it's cool to see that coming out of the draft, he was one of the speedier guys, and he's still quick, but I think that adding that muscle has made him more of a bruiser power back with more than enough adequate speed as well too. So, but then you also use Deebo Samuel more as the home run hitter as well too, to get kind of that Mostert type speed breakaway home run hitter ability that we've seen over the past few years as well. But just in regards to Elijah Mitchell, nothing glamorous about him, nothing glamorous about the game, just a hard fought 27 carries, 96 yards, did get that touchdown in the first quarter. But in regards to that second half, you could see as the game got a little bit tighter and Jimmy got a little bit loose with the ball, things started to condense a little bit more. And I just wanted to mention him because Kyle continued to go back to the guy. He continued to churn out just those tough yards as well too. So wanted to mention him. I've been impressed with just the veteran presence that he seems to have.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I actually told my dad that too. Just after the game, when we have our little post game wrap and we talk about guys where we were impressed with, and he's one that comes up too. But it's almost as if it's a quiet 97 yards, quiet
right.
Average yards per. I don't know what his average yards per carry were, but I know they were solid.
It was almost 4. It was like 3 point something.
About
I
right.
looked at it.
Yeah. Exactly. And I was just like, man, he just seems like a savvy vet out there. The way he hits the hole, always kind of seems to fall forward. Doesn't, not too flashy out there. Doesn't really, doesn't celebrate much. Doesn't do like a first down thing. Or he's just consistently though moving the chains. And I'm very, very impressed. And what a steal. What a find. Exactly. I don't even know if Trey Sermon was he active?
I don't know if he was active either, actually.
Because I didn't see him on special teams, so I don't think he was active. I know he was cleared. His practice window was open, but I don't know if he was activated before the game. He was probably on the inactive list. I don't remember seeing him.
Right. I remember looking at the list, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. Totally. And Jeff Wilson again, still no carries for Hefe. But hey,
don't you think it says more about Elijah Mitchell? That's the only thing I can come up with.
100%.
Kyle's just writing these two guys. He trusts these guys.
100%.
That's all I can think of.
It is. There's no doghouse for Hefe. There's no dog. None of these guys are putting the ball on the ground. It's really just more so about Elijah Mitchell and his emergence the second half of the season since he took over as the RB1.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And as you said, too, just to close that part off, his vision has greatly improved. I can think straight off of my head back in the Lions game multiple times where he's, seeing the hole and accidentally running into, 49ers guys' backs and stuff. And I cannot tell you the last time I've seen that. So credit to him and his improvement. Major steal, as you said as well, in the 6th round. Shout out Bobby Turner. That was his guy. He wanted us to draft him. And great pick. Love that. Just wanted to I thought he deserved to be shouted out as well too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get to Jimmy G here. A little bit up and down. 16 for 25, 172, 1 interception. Shaky performance. I thought he came out really strong, to be honest. I thought he came out in rhythm, efficient. He kept the offense in rhythm and ahead of the chains. Immediately got a quick couple downs, first downs. And I thought he passed really well off of the run as well. And I had mentioned a little bit earlier as well about the 11-yard out to Jawan Jennings on 3rd down. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, Jawan Jennings, maybe you can correct me, but I think all 3 of his catches continued to be were on 3rd down as well too. So that connection really been heating up over the past few weeks. But yeah, just those first couple drives as we came out and we built that 10-0 lead right off the bat, I thought Jimmy played really well. And I know that he, there's talks about him spraining his shoulder at some point in the game. Kyle said he didn't seem to know when. I have no idea when it happened. But it was nice to see that he started off strong. And I guess essentially what I'm trying to say is it did just enough, coupled with the dominating defense that we had on Sunday as well, too, to hold off the Cowboys. But in my personal opinion, I say shaky because the second half, not good at all, in my opinion. 5 for 11, only threw for 39 yards. And part of that is because Kyle really took the ball out of his hands at that point anyway. We were running the ball a lot. And I think I had written down that I thought Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers as a whole, but Jimmy Garoppolo was kind of let off the hook because of the Cowboys on personal penalties. We smacked them in the mouth right away, and they quickly got out of character. They're soft. A lot of people have talked about it, but the Cowboys aren't built like that. And then they also imploded on themselves too with multiple drive extending penalties for us. We did the same thing a couple times to them, but I thought the Cowboys really, really, really messed that up and allowed us to continue driving the ball as well. So from Jimmy, just for me, real shaky, decent, really, really solid start. I liked the rhythm that we were having in offense early on. And after that point, I would just say shout out to Robbie Gould because he was nails. 2 50-plus yard field goals. Obviously, he was punting just a week ago, too. So shout out to a couple less glamorous positions as well, special teams, as well as Robbie Gould. I thought he played really, really well and gave us enough cushion to win that game. Just your overall thoughts on Jimmy Garoppolo. What did you see? I don't think that's enough to win this next week, by the way.
No, it's not going to be enough. And I was pretty disappointed with Kyle. I wrote it down as a note with 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. Kyle had 2 back-to-back runs on second and third down, one to Elijah Mitchell, and then the third and 3, he ran Debo up the middle for like a gain.
So he wasn't active, by the way, Sermon.
Okay. So, so he ran Debo up the middle, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. 3rd and 3 turns into 4th and 1. And I thought we had a chance there to go for the jugular. At that point, it was 10-0. We had literally been doing whatever we wanted the entire game. And the only reason why it was 10-0 instead of 14-0 because the drive before that is when Jimmy killed the drive by throwing the screen pass that he was supposed to probably throw at Elijah Mitchell's ankles. So third, would have 2nd and 6 turned into 3rd and fucking 20.
16.
Yeah, 3rd and because that was like 11-yard loss, and that drive, luckily, again, Robbie Gould saved it, and luckily we got 3 points out of that drive, and so now it's 10-0. And Kyle, for whatever reason, I'm not sure, because at that time Jimmy was 8 for 10, and had been hitting everything. It was very, very crisp, very much in the flow of the offense. Didn't seem like he was shaking or bad. Jimmy hadn't reared his head yet. So
he looked that point right away.
So at that point, I thought, Kyle, let's go for the jugular here. Okay, you ran it with Debo on 3rd and 3. Cool. That's because you're getting ready to go for it. Oh, you don't go for it. You brought Robbie Gould right out there, and it's 4th and 1, and you just kick the field goal. So now it's 13-0.
Yeah.
And of course, immediately the Cowboys drive down the field, score, they hit Coop, it's 13-7. They're right back into the game. And I marked that down as a potential turning point of the game where Kyle was not very aggressive. And I thought that wasn't a vote of confidence to your quarterback, who was 8 of 10 at the time. Now, again, it did not end up biting them. But hindsight, it kind of did, because then as we saw what happened in the second half, Jimmy didn't have that. We go into the second half, it's 16-7. We get the pick. We get the big pick from K1. Debo scores. It's a 23-7.
So it didn't matter at that point.
Right, kind of, but still, Jimmy to that point still hasn't really done much. So then we get to the point where we do need Jimmy to do something and or just not turn the ball over. What does he do? He turns the ball over. So
he sailed that pass bad too.
Right. And so I don't know if had Kyle run a different play on 3rd down, tried to be a little more aggressive, we don't know what would have happened in that situation. But I just like to think if your quarterback's kind of hot at that time, you go for the jugular. Who knows? If we go up 17-0, it could have been 24-0, 31-0, and the route is on. And then we're not even talking about the final 40 seconds of the Cowboys' last drive.
That's a great point.
What everybody seemed to hone in on, because it only got there because of the mistakes that we made and even allowed it to get that close. But that game,
and the Cowboys hadn't proved to stop us in rushing the ball at all at that point.
At all.
I remember I tweeted out, I think it was at the end of the first quarter, I said, we're rushing for 150 plus today. And we did, by the way. We did. Yeah. But they hadn't proven to stop us at all. Was that the second drive that you're talking about? He was 8 for 10, you said?
Which one? 8 for 10. No, that was by the 3rd drive. He was 8 for 10.
So we were rolling.
He was still 8 for 10. We were rolling. For whatever reason, Kyle gets really cute and runs 2 run plays in a row. They stop it. Yeah. And we come to 4th and 1. And I'm in my head, I'm like, he's going for this. Like, there's no doubt in my excuse me, there's no doubt in my mind he's going for this. He did that
Absolutely.
later in the game too, where I was 100% he's going to go for it and didn't go for it. So
yeah,
he got a little conservative, and
he does that though.
He will, and I don't even know if that's even. I can't say that because I think if he had Brady or Rodgers, he's going for it in those situations.
I was going to ask you. I didn't know if you wanted to go there. I was going to ask you though, because I think I'm with you on that. I think that plays a role. I do.
It does. But I also just know Kyle. Also, he clams up sometimes, and I think that was just one of those moments. He outthought himself on those situations. Same way he outthought himself on the with the incredible play called to Debo to seal the game.
Yeah.
To seal the game. I thought that was one of his best play calls he's had in his Niners tenure. That was an incredible play. Seal the game. They weren't expecting it at all.
At that moment, huge.
And then to come back right after that to be like, all right, I am going to go for it. And then to unnecessarily motion Trent Williams from the left side to the right side, something he's never, ever done.
Right.
The game should have been over then as well. Because if Trent Williams, like Jimmy got the sneak by a lot.
Like a lot. It wasn't even close.
Like, right. Trent Williams being on the left side or the right side had nothing to do with the play at all, other than smoke and mirrors, like he tries, like he does. That's what he's known for, a lot of the motions and, just to, fuck with the defense and their alignment or whatever. But either way, Jimmy got that sneak easily. Is it on Jimmy to also come set and wait so Trent Williams can get set?
I was just annoyed with Jimmy as I was with Kyle on that.
Exactly.
Like both of them. Kyle, come on, Jimmy.
You didn't need to do that. You ran this. The whole world knows this quarterback sneak.
Yes.
Trent Williams being on the left side or right side has nothing to do with the play at all. So,
none.
I'm
glad you brought that up because I forgot.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about that too.
Yeah, I didn't. Me and my memory. I don't forget nothing. But
I was so mad.
Yeah. So, Kyle thinks himself, and sometimes in those situations, but still Kyle, he gets a ton of credit for the game plan he put up because for the most part he was in his bag, and he had Dan Quinn's number, and it was very evident because a lot of talk coming into the game was going to be, who has the edge here? Dan Quinn, Kyle Shanahan. Who knows who better? Who knows whose tendencies? What's gonna, who's gonna bend? Who's gonna blink first, so to speak? And we saw from the first drive, Kyle knows what he knows what he wants to do against a Dan Quinn defense more than Dan Quinn knows what he wants to do versus a Kyle Shanahan offense. So so I have to give him his credit for that, but I also can be critical while giving him his credit.
I agree. I'm with that. I have no problem with that. Like we said, going forward, we're going to need much more from Jimmy Garoppolo to win this next game. We know that Aaron Rodgers is not a guy that turns the ball over. I think he's had 4 picks on the year. That's insane. Wow. That's just really good. So yeah, we're going to, I think, well, I'll hold on. I'll hold off till we get to the Green Bay Packers talk. But to wrap Jimmy Garoppolo up, we were on Jesse's show last week, and I had mentioned that this roster has the ability to go deep in the playoffs, if not potentially make a run to the Super Bowl. But I said I'd take the field because I don't trust that Jimmy Garoppolo wouldn't put the ball in harm's way. And you've talked, I've talked, we've been on spaces together multiple times. You can hear a lot of people who will echo those same sentiments. And I forgot who it was, but someone had said, well, I think Kyle just kind of game plans an interception into the game plan now for Jimmy.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking. I was like, you know what? I mean, yeah, right?
I think it was Roscoe.
He probably does. Absolutely.
I think it was Roscoe.
Was it Roscoe that said that? I had never thought about that before, but it 100% makes sense. And so when he does throw that pick, especially if he comes out and has a good first half, which I thought it was good, the game gets tight. And I think, like you said, Kyle gets really, really like real quick chain. He'll pull it real quick, and then 11 attempts in the second half, only completes 5 of them. The game gets real tight, and we're holding on rather than putting the game away. And it's just scary for my heart. I just don't like it.
Same for Kyle. You could definitely see Kyle is his tendencies. Everything switches up when Jimmy's clicking. Kyle is so confident to call whatever he wants.
He's aggressive.
When Jimmy stops clicking and Jimmy starts, bad Jimmy starts to rear his head. It's almost as if everybody else feels it, but Jimmy. Everybody else feels the tightness of the magnitude and the sense of urgency of the situation, but Jimmy. It's the wildest.
He's all shucks attitude all the time.
all the time.
I don't get
Driving
it.
me nuts. Even after he threw the pick, he was just like, "Oh damn, like no, like Jimmy, come on, bro, like you just let
Right.
them back in the game, like this is." Yeah, it
This is
blows
game.
my
This is the
mind.
game right
Yeah,
here.
it blows my mind.
Yeah. So that's that. Let's see. Do I want to switch over to the defense? Yeah, let's talk about the defense a little bit here. I wanted to mention in regard to K'Wan Williams. So we've talked about him a little bit already. Obviously, he gave up the slot fade TD to Coop. I think he was guarding the first down. It was just a good play call by Kellen Moore. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I think he was guarding the first down. He didn't want to give the first down. He was cool to give up the 3. They get 3 points. And I thought it was just a great slot fade. It's also Amari Cooper. It's just a good matchup. So good touchdown there. I thought KK did a good job in getting that back with his interception there in the third quarter. At that point, it sets up the called shot by Debo. That puts us up. That made it 23-7. That was where it made it 23-7. So credit to KK for having a short memory, getting over it real quick. I also thought Ambry Thomas continues to play really, really well. He only gave up a couple catches, 24 yards. And the fact that he was only targeted 4 times, that tells me a lot. Tells me he had decent coverage, because I guess Dak felt more comfortable to go towards Emmanuel Mosley. And that doesn't mean Mosley's bad, but it means that Ambry continues to play really well. One play that continues to stick out to me, especially for you as a wide receiver, maybe you can talk about this. It was the first quarter. I think it was the Cowboys' first drive, and Cooper's on Thomas for like a 5-yard out, and Dak goes to him. He throws it to him, and Dak is there for the catch. But I saw that Ambry had the closing speed to tackle him and make a play on the ball, which made it incomplete. Yeah. For me, I've been saying for weeks now how I thought the Ambry Thomas, the athlete, deserves to be on the field. He's 4.3, legit 4.3, high 4.3 speed. And on that play, for me, I saw it. I was like, oh, because one, Amari Cooper, that's Amari Cooper. No one's ever considered Amari Cooper slow. He's not slow. So for him to make a play on that ball, I thought, wow, okay, that's the little 4.3 speed flash that I've been looking to see. Yeah. What were your overall thoughts on the defense in regards to maybe the corners? I know we'll get to the D-line as well, because they dominated this game. But yeah, that was what I saw from really those two. Good to have the short memory, and I don't know, the secondary doesn't look like a weakness now.
Nah, it isn't. You like to see better ball skills from Jimmy Ward. I mean, they should have had 2 picks. Jimmy Ward should have had that pick. He went for the old Willie Mays basket catch. He just couldn't quite track it down. But overall, as far as the targets go, I mean, the targets, he didn't get a lot of targets because the D-line was hunting. It was hunting season. They smelled blood in the water. Like, Dak didn't have a lot of time to find anybody. So, if that's the same case going into Green Bay this week, it's going to be a long afternoon for Aaron Rodgers and company. Because I agree. It just doesn't matter who's back there when your D-line is getting in your face like that. Like, you're not going to just be sitting back there, throwing the rock like it's flag football and hitting a ton of targets. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I don't know any better way than to say it than how you just said it. Blood in the water. Do you want to talk about the D-line? What were your overall thoughts on the D-line? I thought it was impressive. I did think it was impressive how they continued to get pressure after the repeat offenders.
They are repeat offenders. It looked exactly the same way it looked against in LA, 2 weeks ago. It's just same amount of sacks. 5. They sacked Stafford 5 times. Sacked him 5 times. Looked very similar in the Bengals game as well. They got the Burrow, feel like, just as many times. Like, when you have these elite quarterbacks, the D-line makes them look not as elite. A lot of people are blaming Dak for this and that, and I'm just like, look, it's not all Dak's fault. Like, he didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of anything, especially when his left tackle is getting walked back into him all the time, like,
by multiple
people. No matter who it was, Jordan Willis, my man, Menahu, it was
Jordan Willis.
Yeah, very, very impressive. DJ Jones, I continue to beat the drum for DJ Jones.
I love him. I love the way he plays.
Yeah, he is such a monster. I always love DJ Jones. Another steal. And this is all without this is without Kinlaw, man. Like, this line is so stacked right now, like, it's stupid.
I think the defensive tackle, like you said, the depth there is insane.
And Armstead, man, Armstead had a Buckner-esque type game. Like, give
Yes.
him his flowers. Like,
Yep.
Armstead is really, really, really. I saw Roscoe. Roscoe's been beating the drum for Armstead all season. He had a tweet, I think it was yesterday, that people aren't ready to have the conversation, but Armstead had a better season than Buckner.
Oh, he did. I agree.
So yeah,
I have to agree with it.
Yeah, and so like it's showing its head at the perfect time, man. And again, that's gonna be their recipe. It's not the back end. It's gonna be the front, the big uglies. The big uglies, if they can continue to keep doing what they're doing right now, even with Bosa going out, missing the entire second half, they literally didn't skip a beat. I know Dak got the scramble. I know Dak got that scramble when he broke containment. They weren't able to contain the edge on that play. One of the very few times. I think that was literally the only time Dak ever escaped the pocket and made a play. You hated to see that, especially.
He's actually the only reason they broke 50 yards rushing at all.
Exactly, that play. Yeah. So, other than that, man, this D line, man, is really gonna have to just keep it up. And obviously going into Green Bay, that'll be one of the keys. They're gonna have to help their guys on the back end just because of Aaron Rodgers and his ability to deliver the ball in precise places for these receivers, where it makes their job so much easier.
Absolutely.
Like ridiculously easier. Like literally, if I had a healthy body and I just suited up for Green Bay, I could have 9 for like 80 in a tug.
Hey,
like, if I had a healthy body, if all this and like I had a healthy body, like you could literally put me with Aaron Rodgers,
right? And he's finna drop it in the bucket.
In the bucket,
dude.
Bucket. I'll go for 9 and I'll say 80 in a tug.
Hey, with that guy, I don't even doubt you. I mean, I'm not trying to sit here and fawn over the guy, but he is. If he's not the most talented quarterback, he's two. I love Aaron Rodgers. He's one of my favorite. He's in my top 2 favorite quarterbacks of all time. That's just me. But
bad man.
He's nasty.
Bad man.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too, because some people are saying, oh, back in 2019 we did this to them, and in week 3 we didn't have these certain guys. But hey, it's still Aaron Rodgers. I have ultimate respect for the guy. So what happened in the past happened.
But the key is the pass rush. That is absolutely 100%. That's why we were able to do what we did in 2019.
And it will be, if we win this game, it'll have to play a role in how we win as well too. I totally agree with that 100%. And you know what? I think it's important to say this. I think it's important for everyone to know this. I don't think any quarterback, not one, plays the same when there's pressure in your face. So I don't like hearing all this. Oh, well, the 49ers beat us because Dak had a bad game. He did have a bad game because the 49ers forced that whole offense into a bad game. That's just the truth of the matter. That's the fact of the matter. And in 2019, when we had that crazy run of the Super Bowl and we really shut down the Packers, it was the same thing. Aaron Rodgers didn't have a bad game. He was shut down. Yeah. And I don't know if we will be able to do exactly that this game, but I do think if we win this game, it's going to be that we had to have pressure on Aaron Rodgers. So a little preview into some of this Packers talk as well too. But yeah, just in regards to the D-line, I love the depth. I think that's the biggest thing that showed through the course of this game. Bosa, I thought he had a solid first half. Obviously, he gets hurt, just a freak accident, and we're all hoping he can come back and play this week. You definitely have a Bosa. You don't sit him if you don't have to sit him. But to see Omenahu come in and get some extra snaps and to be real productive with them, Jordan Willis to come in and be productive. Obviously, he got hurt at some point in the game. I think it's an ankle injury for Willis. Yeah, it was ankle. But just the depth that flies off the board. You got Key in there as well too. And we've already mentioned DJ Jones. I'm a huge fan of DJ Jones. I like him a lot. Kevin Givens. There's so many, we can name so many guys that had impacts on the game. And I love that. And I got to shout out, I've said it for weeks. We've talked about it a couple times. Continue to shout out Chris Kasarik, man. He's scheming up different ways to get these guys in position. And it seems to me that there are certain traits that the 49ers look for and they can sell low to get certain guys. And I don't know if that's something that Chris Kasarik's doing, if it's a group. A group of them are thinking like there's certain traits that they're looking for to get these certain guys in, and he's just bringing out the most in them, or if it's something else and that their talent's just flying off the board. But for me, I gotta think when you see a guy like an Arden Key who through the first 2 or 3 years of his career I don't want to say couldn't do much, but wasn't producing at this level, to come here and over the past 10 games now to have the greatest stretch of his career. I don't believe that that's an accident. I think it's a mixture of great coach, great camaraderie with your other teammates as well too, and also being put in position. So shout out to the D line. I think it's been a huge turning point in getting the defense as a whole, I would say, shut down. And I think it starts with the run defense. I wrote a tweet earlier in the week saying this run defense has been so suffocating that it's actually helping the secondary, in my opinion. You get into second and third and longs because the defense isn't giving up many yards at all. And you get into these situations where it's a little bit more obvious passing downs. I don't want to say second down's an obvious passing down, but when you're behind the chains consistently, as this 49ers defense, a run defense has been doing lately, you get in that position to where you're starting to throw the ball a little bit more. We saw with Zeke Elliott and with Pollard, I think they only rushed like 16 times and they only managed like 45 yards. And then Dak had like 4 for 27. So that shows you how suffocating the defense has become. And I think in that regard, when those things happen, it makes you one-dimensional. You got to pass the ball if you want to start having some rhythm, which has allowed the defensive line to eat, which has allowed the secondary to play really solid down the stretch. And I think that the effort that this team has put into the D line is it's showing up, and I love to see it. Love to see that. Yep. Let's see. Let's talk. I want to talk a little bit here about the Packers game as well. It's going to be a lot different. I think this game's going to look a lot different than what we saw in week 3. We have multiple guys that are going to be playing this week that didn't play in week 3. I also know that the Packers are going to be a little bit healthier. I have to believe that, I don't know if it's been approved yet, but I got to believe that Jair Alexander is going to play. I don't think that he would miss this game if he doesn't have to. Kenny Clark, I think he'll be back. I don't think did he play? Do you remember if he played in week 3? Packers nose tackle. I can't remember if he did or didn't. Sure. But that they're going to have David Bakhtiari back as well too. So I'm curious if there's going to be a little bit of rust with him. For those who don't know, that is the Packers left tackle. I'm going to be really curious to see if there's any rust with him as well. But we didn't have Elijah Mitchell in week 3. And Debo, I think, had 1 carry out of the backfield, I think, in week 1. We know that the temperatures there are going to be cold. It's going to be cold. I think it's supposed to be like 20-some degrees by game time. And by the 4th quarter, I read it's supposed to be like 7. So it's going to be cold. And that's why I said earlier that I believe that defense, as well as running the ball, travel, because they do. And so the 49ers are a run-first team. If we can limit Jimmy Garoppolo's I would say throws to somewhere between 18 and 25, 24, 25. I like our chances. I really do, because I think that means we're running the ball consistently. We're staying ahead of the chains. I don't think there's going to be a blowout whatsoever, but I do think that if we can limit his throws to, I'd say 25 at the most, I think that means we're winning, or that we win the game. I know. When you look at this game, what do you look for?
I look for the, like I said, the D line's gonna have to get there. The D line's not gonna have to get there. I don't get too wrapped up in, what numbers they have to reach. I don't get too wrapped up into thinking about, limiting anybody. This is the playoffs. This is, again, right. Get it how you're gonna get it. Jimmy's got to throw it 30 times. Jimmy's got to throw it 30 times.
That's fair.
If Jimmy throws it 10 times, Jimmy throws it 10 times. Do they win? That's
do we win? Yeah.
About. Yeah. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you do what dictate. If the game is dictating as such, that's what you do. So
absolutely.
The Niners are very good at knowing who they are and sticking to that to a certain extent. 17-0 LA. You were afforded to do that. Because 17-0, really, it's only a 3-possession game, and you have an entire second half. As long as your defense keeps you in the game. So when your defense is able to keep you in the game, you can then stay and stick to your identity and know exactly who you are. Go with who brought you to the dance. You know what I mean? So continue to dance with that girl that brought you to the dance. You know what I mean? And don't leave astray. So I think that's what Kyle's going to do, and Kyle's going to definitely stick to that recipe as far as what is it, the 30. Niners are what 7-0 and they get 30 plus carries or something like that.
30.
So
It is 30 plus. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's definitely the number he's going to shoot for. I think that's a personal goal that he has, regardless of what the game is dictating. But when it comes
Right.
for me, I'm not really thinking about it that much. I'm like really just focused on limiting the damage that Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers can do.
For
Because
sure.
Devontae, I think in 5 games against us has
He's a
averaged
game wrecker.
123 yards. He averages 123 yards.
Game
So
wrecker. I
that's
mean,
like averaging 123 yards receiving against a team is pretty
that's
stupid.
domination.
Yeah. So
You
it's
can't guard me.
in a 5-game sample size. That's enough of a sample size to be like, okay, yeah, he owns us. So
Yeah.
limiting that damage is going to be key for me. That's what I'm looking for. And then, you know, the Niners to continue to play, hopefully play turnover-free football, sound football,
Right.
not putting the ball in harm's way. Whether, again, Jimmy can still pass the ball 30 times, but still not to put the ball in harm's way. You know, Kyle can scheme that type of game up. We've seen him do it before. So
I'm just not confident in that. I agree with you. He absolutely can.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm confident, and I'm not even saying you are. I think this is the conversation we all have in regards to Jimmy Garoppolo. I definitely know he can have a good game. I've seen him have good games.
Yeah.
But for me to feel confident in the way I think that a game would have to be won, from an outsider perspective, because obviously I'm with you. Once you get between those lines, you do whatever you have to do to win the game. Now, if I got to throw the ball 50 times because that's the position we're in, and I come out and it's a game-winning field goal, well, so be it. I will absolutely take that. Yeah. But if I'm looking at it from an outside perspective, I definitely think that Kyle would want to run the ball, and I also think it should be said too that even if Trey Lance was the quarterback, and even going into next year, we're still a run-first team. I want people to understand and know that this is still a run-first team. It allows you to play 11-on-11 football with a quarterback that has the ability to run as well too. But we're not going to get Trey Lance next year and run the ball or throw the ball on average like 35 times or 30 times. I don't expect that. So just because we're saying that, you know, we want to run the ball, and the fact that I think that running the ball travels really well does not mean that that's going to change just because Trey Lance gets in here next year as well too. So I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to add that in there too.
No, you're good. You're good. I was done. That's all I'm looking for.
For sure. Yeah. So that's kind of our general thoughts in regards to this game. Like I said, we don't like to give predictions. I think before we get out of here, 2 less glamorous positions like we've talked about for the couple weeks. Special teams. Robbie Gould has been big. He's been big the past couple weeks. I think that in a cold weather game, field position can continue to be big as well, especially if both teams aren't coming by a lot of points. And by a lot of points, I mean like 28, 31. I feel like this is going to be a heavyweight matchup where there's going to be blows on both sides. You know, I definitely think that the Packers are going to get theirs at times. I think the Niners are going to continue to get ours at times too. I think that with the Packers' run defense it's better than what we just saw against the Cowboys. It is. Kenny Clark's a beast. He's a great nose tackle, really good. Devondre Campbell has been a very underrated signing, middle linebacker for them, in my opinion. Really good signing. They've gotten crazy value out of Rasul Douglas coming off the practice squad, signing him off the practice squad when Jair Alexander got hurt. Eric Stokes, I was really, really high on him coming out of Georgia in the draft. Like that kid a lot. So this, in my personal opinion, I do think this Packers defense is improved from what we saw in 2019. Obviously, we've seen them in week 3, but these are both 2 different teams at this stage of the season than they were in week 3. So I think in a cold weather game, when it comes to just the cold, I think I look at special teams and I say, okay, what are you guys going to do? I know what the record says. You know, the Niners are ranked, 26, I think, in special teams, and the Packers are like 32nd. I know what the records say, but I throw that out the window because you could still get got on any day. I could still have Amari Rodgers go for a TD. I could still have a Brandon Ayuk or a Travis Benjamin get a kickoff return touchdown. Like those things can still happen. You got to show up and play. And so I bring up those 2 things because in a cold weather game, I think that field position plays even more. Maybe you're kicking a 40-yard field goal. Maybe you're kicking deep in your end, punting deep from your end zone. And yeah, that ball's more like a rock now than it is, playing indoors at AT&T Stadium. So I mentioned those two things because I do think this game could be, especially if there's no turnovers, I can see field position being huge and correlating to what happens score wise as well too. So I got a decent amount of confidence in Robbie Gould though. I've seen him do this in cold weather. He's done it before he came to the Niners. So I think that's one last thing I wanted to bring up. Did you have anything you wanted to say in regards to special teams?
Not necessarily, man. No, I don't. Yeah, just the field position is going to be key. Yeah, field position will be key. I think you're right. I think you hit it on the head with all those points. And yeah, Robbie Gould continues to be solid. And yeah, I don't worry about him in cold weather. Just like I also don't worry about Jimmy in the cold weather. Jimmy is from Chicago,
Illinois boy.
Chicago native, and being somebody who's played in cold weather before, you don't think about it when you're on the field, man. It's going to be a topic for the week, just for people outside looking in that aren't playing in the game. It's just for people to bring up a bunch. It's gonna suck for people sitting there watching the game out there, but for the dudes playing, they're not gonna be thinking about that. You have adrenaline running, and once you start running around, you don't really feel it. You don't really feel it like that. So I don't think the weather's gonna play much of a factor as much as everybody's talking about.
Yeah, I don't either.
Playoff football. It's playoff football in January. It's all you could ask for.
That's it. That's all you can really ask for. Yeah, I think the last thing I'll say here too is we got two different corners now than what they saw in week 3. So they haven't seen, or at least I should say Aaron Rodgers, they haven't seen Ambry Thomas yet. I think, well, actually they have seen Mosley. I think Mosley played that game, but they haven't seen Ambry Thomas as well too. So those things don't necessarily matter as we're sitting here talking about it. What matters is what happens on that field. But I bring that up because we had a lot of penalties, DPIs in that game. And if we can get out of our own way, it's just going to give us more of a chance to be in this game, if not win the game. So that was a big part of the storyline in that game as well. So we'll see what happens. If the game's close with 37 seconds left and Aaron Rodgers has the ball, I will continue to be scared because that's a bad man, as you said. And he makes some throws that are ridiculous. Yep. He's amazing. But I do think that we are a good matchup with the Packers. I do think it's going to be a good game. I'm excited about it. All right, just before we get out of here, I want to mention a little bit about Underdog Fantasy, who is our sponsor. Underdog Fantasy, obviously the NFL season is underway. We're clearly in the playoffs now, closing in on the Super Bowl. But you can still draft a new fantasy team each week on Underdog Fantasy to win cash prizes through their mobile app and user-friendly website. You can join a league and draft a team in just a few minutes. Plus, the folks at Underdog are going to help you get started with a deposit match of up to $100 bonus cash when you sign up and make your first deposit with the promo code Frontline. Once again, the promo code is Frontline, FRONTLINE. All you got to do is visit underdogfantasy.com, or you can go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, sign up with the code Frontline, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Frontline. I know one thing Jasper and I like to do, we like to do the pick'ems. I haven't had a whole lot of success yet because sometimes I like to go a little big. I know you want some money this week, right?
Yeah, I want $200 on a $5 pick'em.
Something like.
Yeah, something like.
I feel it.
You saw me tweet it out to Jordan?
I did see that. I did see it. Yeah. I was like, okay, I see you, my guy. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. If you liked the video, please like it, subscribe it, share it where you want to. Liking it sends it up the algorithm and allows our videos to be shown when people search for the 49ers. So thank you so much. You can continue to find the live stream versions of our shows on 9erTalk with Jasper and Jamal. On the Frontline Sports Media YouTube channel, you'll find the cut-up versions of the topics that we talk about as well, too. So thank you for rocking with us. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Looking for a big dub this Saturday night, by the way. Saturday night. I think it's 5:15 on the West Coast. big dubs in the cold ass weather over there in Green Bay. I'll be gladly watching it from my home. Appreciate y'all checking in with us. We will be back next week, hopefully looking for the NFC Championship. Hopefully we're talking about that and we don't have to talk about off-season stuff yet. But thank y'all for tuning in. We will catch you again next week. Take it easy.